Many anglers rightly associate jigs with successful northern adventures. But as Jon shows us next, spinners and bottom bouncers are equally deadly when walleye move deep in mid to late summer.
There he is. Got him. Man, I saw these fish on the graph. I knew we were going to get one of them just because they were so stacked up there. There's a lot of them there. It's kind of one of those deals where I know I could turn around and get a couple more out of that pile. That's a good bunch of fish. We're spinner fishing today. This is one of my favorite ways to fish because you cover water. When you can cover water, man, I tell you, you can find fish and then you can do one of two things. Keep fishing them the way you're fishing them now with those spinners, or you can park on them and fish in a different manner. But right now we're in that search mode this morning. We're trying to find some new areas to fish, some areas where we can pick off some walleyes. I'm on a body of water that I just came to yesterday for the first time, and we got them really good last night with jigs. But we wanted to go out and try to find some new spots, and we're fishing stuff that we really didn't have anybody to point us toward the right areas. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to fish a tactic like a spinner that's gonna allow me to find walleyes like that really quick. And it works because I can move a lot faster. We're up in Canada. You can tell by the colors of that fish. Isn't that just a pretty fish? You can catch fish a lot of different ways up here. It's a fun place to come to be able to just try a lot of different things. And look at that fish. We're gonna get plenty of these today. We'll keep a couple for shore lunch as we go, but I'm gonna let that one go. What a great way to start our morning though. Get out of here, buddy. There's one. Bit it right when I dropped it back to him. And a lot of times fish will do that on spinners, and I'll check for that bottom a lot by just laying back, and I'm making sure that line goes slack and finds bottom. But the other thing I'm doing is I'm stopping that bait, and I'm stopping it for just a second. And what that a lot of times does is gives that fish that may be following it a chance to come up and hit it, or just just that ambush point. Even if he's in the neighborhood and he sees it all of a sudden stop, it gives them a chance to say, boy, I'm gonna grab that thing. And that can a lot of times just trigger fish to hit. Got a good walleye here. See if I can get him up here. Oh yeah, it's a great fish. Look at that. Man, Canada fishing is so great just because you can come up here and you can catch fish like this pretty much at will. And you can catch them in so many places. It's one of the neatest places that I can think of to come and actually kind of get better at fishing. And when I say that, what I mean is you have the ability to come up on a place like this and look at all kinds of different spots and figure out how to make fish bite day in and day out. And let me show you what I'm using today, because this is a really, really simple deal. This is a Little Joe spinner, and Little Joe spinners, they have been around forever. And they just catch fish flat out day in and day out. A couple neat things about this spinner though, whether you're fishing in the States or whether you're fishing in Canada, wherever it may be, one of the things I think is so great about a Little Joe spinner is it's tied with 12-pound fluorocarbon or 12-pound line. And what it does is it puts you in a position where if you get hit by a pike, you get hit by, anything with teeth, a walleye, whatever it may be. We are walleye fishing, but pike are notorious for breaking stuff off. This spinner is gonna hold up. Secondly, it's the perfect length. When you look at what I'm fishing today, I'm fishing a really rocky area here. And I don't want to have that 6-foot snell that's actually dropping behind my bottom bouncer down into the rocks, because if that's what I'm doing, I'm just going to find myself tangled up half the time. So this you know, 2.5, 3 foot length is just absolutely perfect for what we're doing. One last thing I want to talk about too is, you know, you can find Little Joe spinners, you can find Little Joe crawler harnesses. You can find them in single packs, you can find them in strip cards where you just pull a bag off at your local tackle shop. But the big difference here is, you know, Little Joe comes in a whole variety of different configurations. Today I'm fishing the minnow hook, and when it says spinner on that package, what that means is it's a single hook and it's going to be a minnow hook. You can fish this with a minnow or a leech. If it says crawler harness on there, you're going to have 2 hooks. And you know, we could be fishing a crawler harness here and we could be catching fish just as fast if I was fishing a crawler, I assume. But today we chose to fish a minnow. You know, it's just one of those things. And all I'm doing here, I'm just lip hooking that minnow. I'm not actually going up through his skull, and I'll tell you why. A lot of times when you come up through his skull, you actually break his skull open, and then all of a sudden that minnow will get kind of loose on that hook. And sometimes he'll just come undone. So all I'm doing is I'm going right through his lips. And if you go right through his lips, there's that rubbery consistency there, and they'll stay on there pretty good. And then the only other thing I'm doing is when I get bit, because I've only got 1 hook and I don't got a hook back here at the tail end of that thing like I might with a crawler, all I'm doing is I'm letting him chew on it for a second, but then I'm dropping him the rod tip a little bit. I'm not going slack, but I'm dropping it just enough for him to chew his way up it, and then I'm setting the hook on him. And it's not a huge hook set, it's just a little sweep and start reeling him. Find that bottom. There it is right there. There's one. Got him. Oh yeah. Love to tell you, boy, this feels like a good one, but you know, I said this a lot of times on this trip. They're all good. I mean, we've caught so many fish. It's just a ball. You know, it doesn't matter if you're jigging or if you're pulling a spinner. It's just one after another, and all of these walleyes and everything here just fights, and it's just awesome to catch them. Ooh, let's see if we can get this guy here. Look at that. Got himself unhooked for me. Perfect eater-sized fish, but I've got a couple of them on the stringer already for shore lunch. But man, spinners, they just catch fish like crazy. One after another today, and it's such a simple presentation. Just throw a bottom bouncer out there. You know, today I'm running 1.5 ounces, making sure I'm down by the bottom, constantly checking that depth and covering ground. And I'll tell you, you can catch a lot of fish pulling spinners that you're not going to get if you're jigging because you're sitting too still. This is one of those times when you get into this time of the year where when these fish scatter, you want to do something that's moving a little bit quicker, and a spinner's the perfect ticket for it. Get out and pull some spinners. I don't care if you're up here in Canada. Make sure you got some Little Joes, or if you're down in the States, they just catch fish one after another.